demonstrate that with your support, they can effect positive changes in their lives. Please buy Spare Change News and donate to the address that appears on your screen. Thank you.
Have you received an eviction notice? Are you having problems with building management? Have you been denied for public housing? I am Nancy. We are the Alliance of Cambridge Tenants, the citywide organization of public housing voucher tenants. A city is tenants helping tenants, learning together and defending one another. Please call. Do not hesitate.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm Psychic Steve, your psychic sidekick. I host the Psychic Fashion Show every Thursday evening, 8 to 8:30 here at CCTV. And we do a lot of music, we do some biking, we do a little bit of everything. I've had poets, I've had strippers, I've had fashion moguls from Central Square doing hip-hop fashion. A little bit of everything, a little bit of everybody. And love to have you tune in. We're live, you can call in, and you can also check out our YouTube videos. Our latest one, which we recorded just after the Boston Marathon bombing, it's called Box Turtle for Boston. And it's on YouTube, just search Box Turtle for Boston.
Hello, this is Cambridge InsideOut. My name is Susanna Sagat, and my co-host right over here, all the way over there actually.
My name's Robert Winters. And with us today is our very special guest, Jesse. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure.
Just to say hey.
Hey, my name is Jesse Kansen-Benanav.
And how do you fit into the great grand landscape of Cambridge?
Well, one of the ways I fit in is as the chairman of the Cambridge Democratic City Committee. This is the representative body of registered Democrats in Cambridge. Separate from that, I also fill a role as founder and chairman of an organization called A Better Cambridge, which is more focused on development and growth issues in the city. And
Smart growth.
Smart growth, exactly.
Definitely.
So we've sort of intersected with some of the local city council development planning issues in the last year or so in that role.
Well, we're really happy you're here.
Thanks.
As you know, we're building up toward our election night special.
Yeah.
So we're talking a lot about the city council races and the school committee races, and we're happy you're here as the head of, I'm happy you're here as the head of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Because I understand that better.
Yeah, definitely. That's fine.
And we thought at the last episode, we were talking about the election on October 15th for the 5th Congressional District.
Mm-hmm.
So this show, we thought we'd close up on that. We'd put our nerd caps on and look at some data.
Sure.
Okay?
Sounds good.
What do you think, Robert?
Nerd caps? What are you saying, Suzanne?
I just love this stuff. Let me just show you a little bit. So we had an election. Did you go vote? Did you vote? You didn't have, did you?
I never miss an election.
Me neither. Were you in the district?
I'm not in the district.
Okay, so we
But I
forgive
also
you.
never miss an election.
So there was an election. Okay, so what happened is President Obama nominated John Kerry to be Secretary of State. So there was a vacancy in the Senate seat.
Yep.
Congressman Markey replaced John Kerry in the Senate, leaving a vacancy in Domino's, leaving a vacancy in Markey's seat, and so we were trying to fill that one. So what happened was, beautiful. I don't know if you can see this very well, but
Actually, it's
what
clear,
happened,
clear as a bell.
Catherine Clark won with 32% of the vote. Middlesex Sheriff Peter Kutuzyan came in second with 22% of the vote. Representative Carl Shortino got 16% of the vote. Senator Will Brownsberger got 15% of the vote, and Senator Karen Spilka got 13% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty good. So I want to show you a little bit more here. This is the map.
You really are a techie.
I am so sophisticated. Oh, no, wait, hold on, because, oh. All right. Talk about that. So here's the district. Here is the district.
It looks like the British Isles.
Yeah.
It does. So
Really?
this whole top one here is the district and what happened with the first place finishing. And then they went a little, this is from the daily costs, and they went a little deeper to what the district looked like for second place finishers. So I just want to show you very quickly. So Catherine Clark is the blues, the light blue and the darker blue. So look what she did. She got her home of Melrose. She got 79% of the vote there. And then it bled into Malden, and then she got Stoneham, Woburn, Winchester, Lexington, Arlington, Lincoln, Wayland, and Sudbury. What an interesting district, huh?
Yeah.
Then Peter Katoujian, he's the second one. He's the Reds. He got Waltham, which is his hometown, of 74% of the vote there. And then he got Revere and Winthrop, which might be the Leo country?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Then we have Rep. Carl Sortino, who got Medford. He's the orange one. He got 47% of the vote in Medford, which is actually pretty low compared to other hometowns.
Yeah.
But he did really well because he did really well at the second places everywhere else. He got a lot of second place votes. Okay, then Brownsburger, he's from Belmont, right there. And he got 66% of the vote in Belmont. And then Karen Spilka, who was the final, the 13% finisher, she is from Ashland, which is right here. And she got 85% of the vote in Ashland, and then all the surrounding communities, Southborough, Framingham, Natick, Sherborne, and Holliston. So this is an interesting district, isn't it?
It is. It stretches quite far.
So
Looks sort of like a salamander.
Yeah.
Like Governor Gary's salamander. Wait, that's another story for
so
another day.
I don't think you can see this, but I want to put it up just to show how nerdy we can be. Here
Oh,
it
you
goes.
don't know how nerdy we can be.
Okay, so,
Okay.
oh, no one can see that. Okay, you can't see it, but if you go in the cambridge.gov website and go in the election commission, they will tell you by ward and precinct what the vote count was for each one. So this is all the wards and precincts for that. So the official results is 16% of the people of Cambridge who were eligible to vote actually came out to vote.
Is that low?
Well, 35,029 were actually registered to vote, and 5,540 actually voted.
All right.
Now, what is your definition of is that low?
16%. That seems kind of low. By the way, just want to point out that this district comprised about half of Cambridge. The total number of registered voters currently in Cambridge is just over 70,000, which is actually pretty high compared to the way it's been in some past years. So
Back to the map?
back to the map.
Okay, here's the map. So this part over here, this part of the butterfly wing here is Mike Capuano's 7th congressional district. Last time we were talking about what happened in the Congress. So we used to be all the 8th congressional district, and all of it was Mike Capuano.
Yep.
Then they took a bite out of the middle. So we have Mike Capuano is over here in the yellow, and Mike Capuano is over here in the yellow. And all of this was was the seat that went to Markey and is now what we were contesting.
This is like East and West Capuanistan.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
And of course, it makes sense from a geographic perspective because they wanted to make sure that they kept Somerville in Capuano's district.
Exactly.
So it actually, those two ends connect on Somerville. So.
you can't make this make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Well,
So, what I want to tell you about this is Catherine Clark. Here, let's talk about it. Let's talk for a second. Hello.
Hey, who are those people?
So, Catherine Clark got 44% of the vote in Cambridge. So, out of the 5,540 people who voted, 2,300 voted for her. And then Sortino got 28% of the vote. He got 1,500 ballots. Brownsburger got 15% at 790 ballots. Katoujian got 7%. So in the whole district, Katoujian came in second. And in Cambridge, he came in with 7% with 373 people voting for him. And Spilka got 5% with 297 people. So it's interesting. But here's what I really find interesting. So let's go back to the map.
I thought I was the nice guy.
Okay, so if you can't really, I don't know if you can see this that well, but this section here, this is 9-1. This was the hotbed of activity. Whoever
Well,
lives here
you're
in
circling
9-1.
the Cambridge Cemetery there.
Oh,
There we go.
So 9-1 had more votes than any other. So they had 678 people come out to vote. Now, if you compare that to 8-3, which is like a 5-minute bike ride away, 8-3 is right there. 34 people came out to vote there. Right there. 34 people and 678 people. So this was also huge because 27% of the people who voted from this little area right here. And hopefully not the cemetery part.
I think part of that is the district with only the 30 some odd people, I think, has a lot of Harvard dorms who probably wouldn't have taken too much interest in
I know, but we can do 7-3, which is right, where's 7-3? Right here. Oh, that's Harvard-y too. That was the second lowest at 66 votes. All right, so 9-1. So let's go back to here because this is a mystery to me. So the number one precinct for vote getting for Catherine Clark, the winner, was 9-1. She got 334 votes from here. It was Sortino's number 2 with 152, and it was Brownsburger's number 1 with 105. So 3 top candidates had their huge thing. So who got out the vote here? This is a fantastic get out the vote.
You know, there's certain precincts which historically have higher voter turnout than others. So if you're a wise candidate, you're probably going to say, well, these are the people where we have more likely voters to sort of pull out. You know, and I think in that section of the city, that's actually one of the higher voter turnout precincts.
Really?
And if I'm correct, I think the base of the Clark organization in Cambridge was
Is this inside Democratic politics now, Jesse?
was
Should
somewhere
we be saying
around
this in public?
somewhere around 10-2, I believe.
Well, actually, that's my second, 10-2,
Yeah.
which is right here, the very tip of the district. And so like right there, that's the Porter Square stop.
Yep, that's
Okay,
right.
so 10-2 is this area here. Is that Avon Hill?
Avon Hill is heading up into that, sure.
All right,
Up on the hill.
10-2 was the number 2 winner. They had 627 people vote. 25% of the people who voted came from that little area right there.
And that doesn't surprise me because I know the organization was based there, so a lot of their
So-
canvassing was focused around there.
So it was Clark's number 2 with 306 votes, Sortino's number 1 with 180, and Spilka's number 1
That
with,
is interesting.
with 38.
All right.
So the third one, and I'm not going to go too far because I know that just because I'm interested in it, you might not be. The third one is 10-1 up here, a little north of Porter Square, with 20% of the vote came out from there. And then the fourth one is 9-2, which is Fresh Pond, right there, with the other 20% of the vote. Now this was Katusian's number 1 voting area with 67 votes, and Brownsburger's number 2 with 96 votes.
And of course, it's the precinct that's closest to Belmont,
Which is where Brownsburger
Brownsburger
would
is
be.
from. And
Although
it's also the
Brownsburger-
closest to
right.
Waltham, so.
Right. And then, not to push my luck, but 9-3 over here, this tip, was another 20% of the vote came from there. That's a lot of 20%. With Katusian, this number 2 right there. So most of the votes came from over here.
Yeah.
So all of you who need congressional help who live anywhere near here,
Yeah.
Forget about
good luck
it.
to you.
Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting thing when you see how these. As I was watching but I guess it was on the computer watching the returns come in. The logic, and I wasn't the only one making the observation. It was all a matter of who was going to get out the vote in their source. So I figured, okay, let's see. I thought it was like 12 precincts in Waltham, and only one was in. I said, well, there's 11 more to go, so Katusian's got a chance because he's going to bring them all out there, right?
Right.
And and then you were looking up at the ones where Catherine Clark was from. So, oh, she's got a good ground organization. She's going to bring in busloads of voters there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's all about disproportionality.
Right.
So now, as the chairman of the Democratic Party here,
Yeah.
you're probably happy and you're ready to go home. But I have something that I would like to contest with you.
Sure.
Okay, so one thinks, okay.
Is this going to involve like cards and
Yeah.
and Chad?
I
Yeah,
told you, you
hanging
had to get
chads,
your
right.
head off. Okay, so October 15th came and went.
Yep.
The 5,500 of us who really cared went out there to vote. So are we done? probably the Democratic Party would say yes, because this is a hugely Democratic area. Catherine Clark got a lot of votes, so she's probably very happy and ready to declare herself the winner. However, that's not true, because December, you see, we had this election in October, we're going to have another election in November. In December, there's going to be another election.
That's right.
Okay, Robert, I want to show you this.
Uh-oh.
December 10th, everyone has to go out and vote for the winners of the primary. You all know Frank Adivinola, right?
Yep.
Okay, Frank doesn't live in the district.
Right.
However, he was raised in Malden, so he does know something about the district. And if he wins, he's a Republican, he pledges he will move into the district, as is the law. So Catherine Clark from Melrose, the Democrat, James Aulenti from Wellesley, who's the independent, and James Hall from Arlington, who's from the Justice, Peace, and Security Party. So this is your choice. So Frank got 6% of the vote, Catherine got 27% of the vote, and James, we will find out what's going to happen with them.
Right.
So now here's what's interesting, and Robert, this is where I think you come in. There's been a lot of debate about, instead
I
of
didn't know there was
having,
going to be a pop quiz.
Now,
This isn't right.
what if instead of having the parties run like this, what if we had the top two primary system? What if Katusian ran against Clark? Would that change the tenor of the conversation?
That's what I've been advocating for a long time.
Take the floor.
Well, actually, this is how they're doing it in, I believe, California.
Right.
Right? They
Right.
did a statewide reform. I don't know which particular seats they do it, but I wouldn't necessarily call it nonpartisan elections. But the thing is it's just like in the Boston election, you could have two Democrats running against each other or two Republicans running against each other in the final election if they actually outdid each other. There are a lot of ways this could be done. I wouldn't necessarily jump so far as to say we should do this for all elections, though I wouldn't mind if we did. But certainly with the frequency of vacancies that have been occurring, you know, one choice is you just make a gubernatorial appointment in the interim. But the way in which we do these vacancy fills with these party primaries, whatever, just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I think we could do a lot better by just having kind of, you know, there's various ways of doing this, I suppose, with ranked choice voting or not. Even do it just like they do with the mayoral system in Boston, where just the top two finishers would go head to head. So that could be a Democrat and a Republican. Certainly if it was like Scott Brown and Martha Coakley, it might have worked out that way. Or it could be two Democrats. But at least, you know, the election wouldn't be determined on a low turnout primary on some anonymous day in September or whenever. And I think we would do a lot better. And especially if it's only just to sort of fill the vacancy anyway. I just think that would be a little easier, cheaper, fairer,
And more interesting.
more
Would be.
interesting.
I'd be interested to see. I know that they've been doing that in California, like you mentioned. It's not with IRV. It's, I believe, more like
Instant
the
runoff
Boston
voting,
instant
right.
runoff voting. It's more like the Boston mayoral system.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to see how it's worked out and how it's sort of leveled the playing field for candidates of different parties.
Yeah, I kind of wish within progressive Massachusetts we could be a little bit more of a laboratory of democracy and actually try some of these things. But, you know, sometimes I wonder about this thing. So this is going to be a new initiative from the Democratic City Committee.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
Well, I feel confident that even if we instituted that system in this case, we'd still end up with a Congresswoman Clark at
I
the
agree.
end. So
I agree.
Well, if I could just say that the good news here for all you voters is that if in fact State Senator Catherine Clark does win this election, which we think she probably will, the good news is she is not the state senator from Cambridge, so we will not have another special
yeah.
election here.
Thank God.
So that's a
You know,
good thing.
from the perspective of the party, of the Democratic Party in Cambridge, it's been really difficult the last few months, not because we've had to work to elect great candidates like Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey and hopefully Catherine Clark, but because voter fatigue has been a real thing. And I think it's something that's even being sort of trickled down to the city council campaigns this year. It's been really hard to get folks out. Even for Senator Markey's campaign, it was tough. So I'm glad that we won't have to deal with that special election.
So you think Catherine Clark's going to get some #1 votes on November 5th?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, there
that
was a
would
bit
be
of
weird.
confusion. I've actually been speculating that once October, a lot of the city council and school committee candidates have been holding off until October 15th, and they say, okay, no more
Right.
flood of mails from these congressional candidates. Now it's our turn, and now you're going to get inundated with it.
I was glad when they set the date for December, because I was wondering if they had decided to set that special election the same date as the municipal primary, how Cambridge would deal with having to have two different election systems, but luckily
What
we
do you,
avoided
to
that.
explain what that means?
Because of course, in Cambridge, and Robert would be the one to really explain this well, we do elect our city council and school committee via the instant runoff voting system, which is different than how we elect our congresspeople and our senators, which is just the top vote getter wins. And that requires a whole different system of counting, which again, Robert is the expert on here, but you know, that would create some logistical nightmare, I'm sure, for the election commission.
I think that having some familiarity with the way the machinery all works, I think it's feasible that you could, I won't use the word I used last week, but you could arrange for the various the scanners to actually record both a preferential ballot for the municipal campaign, which is that's one sheet of paper, and then the second card was for the school committee, and then it would be a third card that would be for the other one, and then it would just be, it could record the ballot images. It wouldn't actually be hard at all. Actually, now that I think
Good.
about it, it would be trivial to do.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about it, we've actually, has happened in a while, but I think it was in 2003, we had, in the municipal election, we had a city council campaign, of course, school committee campaign, and there was a ballot question, the one, the referendum on rent control, which was a yes/no question. So if you can do a yes/no question, and the municipal ballot, that's not a preferential ballot,
right.
then, you could do it with, Clark versus Katusian or something like
that's
that. It could be,
interesting.
it wouldn't be a problem.
Good.
Just separate piece of paper. That's all. See?
Good, I'm glad.
All right.
But we don't even have to find out, so.
No.
Not this year, at least.
But I do hope that some people at least open their minds to the possibilities of other ways of doing some of these things. I think Alice Wolf last week spoke about the possibility maybe one day districts, maybe just statewide districts, could be determined with commissions rather than through sort of finagling, in smoke-filled rooms. I guess you don't have smoke-filled rooms
No,
anymore.
it's smoking ban.
Legal. It's not
Right.
legal, right?
Well, you know what would be interesting? If we changed the mayoral choice by having it be elected, that would have to have two ballots too. Because you wouldn't, would you have that be proportional representation?
The former election commissioner, the late Rusty Drugan, I used to call it the Drugan's method, where he suggested just having, if you were running for city council, you declare for mayor, and then what you do is, in addition to running the tabulation software to determine the winners of the city council election, you take that little shorter list of people who declared for mayor and then run them using the same ballots to elect one. The problem with that is that once people know that they're voting for both council and mayor simultaneously when they express preferences, it totally pollutes the pool.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody who really wants to be mayor is not really running for city council, and they're really running for mayor, and they're going to swamp the competition. So it would be very disruptive, I think. But you could have a separate ballot. It wouldn't be difficult to engineer that.
And I know you've been doing some consulting, I believe, in my hometown, actually, of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where they're running their first instant runoff voting mayoral election this year. And they do that. They do elect the mayor separate from the city council, which is also done through the instant runoff voting system. So
right. Actually, Minneapolis was, it was actually Minneapolis and now St. Paul.
And St. Paul, yep. That's my understanding.
They were kind of getting ahead of the game. I guess San Francisco adopted some ranked choice voting. A few other places did, but Minneapolis even went so far as to propose and actually enacted having some local boards elected using almost Cambridge-style proportional representation.
Yep.
It's sort of a minor thing, it's like for the parks.
Library
commissions
board,
or
parks
something,
board,
library
yeah.
board, right? But
Soil
at
and
least
Water
did that.
Commission.
By the way, we're getting down to our last lonely minutes.
But we're going to be right back, though.
That's
and
true.
Jesse's going to stay with us.
I am.
That's right.
And
And what shall we talk about for the next
yeah, what
half
shall we
hour?
talk about? What would you like, since you're here, Jesse, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I hear there's a city council election coming up in Cambridge.
I think that's
You know,
a great
but
idea.
I just have total voter fatigue. I'm tired of talking about that.
I'm giving my number 1 to Catherine Clark.
Yeah, right.
No, I didn't say that. All right, anyway, we got to close out for now, but we'll be right back in a few minutes with Cambridge
Well, we
Inside.
still have.
No, we don't. Oh, we don't. You're right. I was closing out.
He's
That was
trying to-
totally wrong. I looked at 55, and I thought, my goodness, so terrible. Yeah,
Well, now we've lost all
I
momentum.
know. I've ruined it.
So
I've
call
ruined
us. This is a call-in show.
it. We could do that. Especially.
You're welcome to call us. Ask Jesse any questions you want about the party or a better Cambridge. And don't ask us anything, because
And if you're real good, I'll bring out some of my historical information on the history of proportional
wow.
representation. in
So
planning.
call us if you do not want to spend time working on historical artifacts.
It looks
Call
interesting.
us.
It was interesting.
And
Absolutely.
we'll learn how to use this machine so I can show it while you talk about it.
Actually, speaking of learning how to use a machine, if anybody ever wants to actually see how the Cambridge elections actually take place, you take ballot data and you run it through the computer and you elect, there's a little program called Choice Plus Pro. I have it on my computer. So like Alice Wolf invited, she gave her cell phone number last week and said, call me
Not giving
now
my
and
cell
I'll give you a ride to the polls. I will offer an open invitation if anybody wants to actually see how it works.
Here on the
inside
show?
out. I could do that too, but yeah, or personally, I'm happy to do that. It's not a mystery. A lot of people think
It's fascinating.
there's this strange oracle that you go to, and you pump in these number 1s and 2s, and then miraculously these candidates emerge and they make an announcement. It's like Moses bringing tablets down from the mountain.
Let's do it on a show.
We might
That would be
able to do
interesting.
that.
All right, now it's really time for us to go.
MICKEYMOUS.
Trademark.
All right.
So this was Cambridge Inside,
Out.
and we're gone.